But you can just start whenever.
Bro, there's so many love songs. Like. Don't look. I play this song, and you look. Turn it off, cause there you go. You always do that. Every time that
the
song
shoulders
comes
go
on,
and then the hips go.
bro, every time.
That's
this
married
song,
music.
Like, bro.
Okay.
I mean, like, more than friends.
What was that voice?
Like. Bro, rest in peace.
Yeah, bro, TLC.
Rest in peace. But, hold up. The classic.
Yeah, bring it in. I wonder what you're about to play. Tina? Hey, them kids at home don't know about Tina, bro. Let me put y'all on right now. Jamal, actually, Jamal, you put them on. You just played the song.
Here's the thing. I get it. I was listening to this song when I was like
Too young.
way too young to listen to it, so I didn't understand what the song. Like she's
Feeling the type of way.
talking about some stuff. Like, you know, she
got that raspy voice. You can tell she's been through some things.
Right. It's like pain, but like heartbreak.
It made it real, bro. I felt it. I was like 12.
It's like deep passion. Like
it might have came out before we were 12. We were just like 6 or 8. Listen to it.
Let's. Because I think this is the part.
Who needs a heart when it can be broken?
Got to do with it. What's in a second? What's love got to do with it?
She's killing it.
The heart can be broken.
So good, bro.
I don't need
Honestly, there's so many different songs that shaped us coming up, you know?
You got songs, you got TV shows. Bro, I watched a show that I should not have watched when I was with my mom. Bro, I watched...
What show was it?
Golden Girls.
Yep.
Right. Which is not like...
Right.
But I watched Desperate Housewives.
Oh, see, I didn't grow up like that.
So, and it wasn't like I watched them. It was like, I was just with my mom.
You were there. She was watching it, yeah.
Right. But then you got like movies and stuff that like I watch, like Soul Food. You know what I mean? Like movies that like... You're like, oh, that's not really like about like love. It's like, you know, it's like a family dynamic. But like old movies that I watch that are like shaped and have shaped the way that I view life, relationships, love,
all of that, everything.
You know what I mean? And so I just feel like movies is.
Yeah, I mean, for me, man, movies like speak to me. That's like my thing I do. Like that's what I like watching movies. People are like, what's your hobby? Like, is watching movies? Does that count? And I think for me, it's more than anything, it's like the art of it. It's like the storytelling. Like the person that's like making a movie, they're telling you a story. They're trying to project a world in front of you to like communicate something to you. Like that's what good art does. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And so I'm always curious. Like, and I don't think I was ever aware of that until like as an adult. As a kid, like you are getting a world projected onto you through a movie, but you just think, oh, like this is how it's supposed to be. Like, and we just like create these ideas and all that stuff. And I think a lot of it, like how we see relationships, understand it, is because like we're a product of these movies that we grew up with.
Which is crazy because like just the movie, the idea of like the art of making a movie, I feel like it's really easy. And when I mean easy, if there is already a story that has happened and you are just mimicking that story in movie form, that's really easy. But these are like movies that people have created, you know what I mean? And they created out of their own experience, or they like came up with this idea that is relatable to like real life, how we view things, how we do things that we've done, didn't notice we do it, and we watch a movie and you're like, dang.
And you like resonate with the character,
that's me.
You know?
That's me. And there's things in there where you're like, there's movies about love and romance and relationships that you would never do, right? So you got movies like The Notebook.
Right,
bro.
Like
everybody loves The Notebook.
Everybody, it's like a staple. Like this, like really, it feels like it got. Oh boy, what's his name? Nicholas Sparks. It got him popped off. Like, and even the two like main characters, they dated after doing this movie because it was like so deep. And I was like, bro, it's not that serious. Like this man, I still can't believe this. This man wrote this woman, and I get it. If you're in love, I understand. But they like dated for a summer. You know what I'm saying? It was like 3 months. Let's be real. This man dated her, or not dated. He wrote her a letter every day for a year. And not only that, he still got it after she never responded to any. If you sent 365 text messages without a response today,
you tripping.
I'm letting you know right now. Some of y'all need to hear this.
Mad tripping.
You having a conversation with yourself in them DMs. Stop it. You having a conversation with yourself in that text message.
Just be real. If it's been a week, let it go.
Yeah, it's over, bro.
Let it go.
She's not into
Especially if she ain't responded.
At all.
At all.
And maybe for a little while, you're like, oh, maybe they lost my letter. But, like, after a year, and I think that's why he quit. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I get it.
Look, this is kind of off subject. What did Bob Goff do? Didn't he show up at the door? Yeah, he like showed up at the door to get into law school. He like got denied, but showed up, and then he finally got accepted.
He was persistent.
That is not this.
That's not a
Do
relationship.
not do that. That is bad advice.
That's creepy, low key.
That's bad advice. Now, if you're trying to get into school, I get it. But you're trying to like holler at a girl, or you're trying to get this dude's attention, and he's not giving it to you. Girl, turn around.
That whole movie
and
is
keep
wild.
it going.
But like even that movie alone, and so like this week is Valentine's Day week, Single Awareness Week, and I know most people are gonna probably find themselves Sunday night, Valentine's Day, having dinner, eating chocolate, whatever, watching a movie. That's what they're gonna be doing. And I mean, it feels appropriate, like us just even kind of having a conversation, like what are some movies that normally are ones being watched, and which ones stood out to us, and what do we have thoughts on? I know we just said The Notebook, and I know that you have a feeling about this movie, The Notebook. So
there's parts of the movie that I love. I'm not like a huge fan of The Notebook.
I don't like that. If you're a bird, I'm a bird thing. I'm not into that.
I hate birds. So don't come at me talking about if you're a bird or I'm a bird, because I'm looking at you. I don't want nothing to do with you. One, I'm not a bird. Two, if you's a bird, go ahead and fly away.
I do not like birds.
Don't mess with birds. But there's parts of the movie. So the part where, you know, like she's like trying to get away. She's about to go. She's thinking about dating the other dude, and he's like, "Yo, don't do this. If you're just like doing this out of fear, like don't do it." And he's like,
What,
I love it.
What do you want?
What do you want?
What
like,
do you
I
want?
love that scene. Like I be looking at.
I'm like, dang, all right.
What do you? I'm here. You know what I mean? Like
Ryan Gosling, bro, he got me.
That scene, because that's like real. That's like deep. Where you're like, I want you, girl.
Right.
You know what I mean?
But he moved from Remember the Titans being a defensive liability onto this dreamboat dude. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, what happened to this transformation?
And then to La La Land.
Yeah, we would not even go
We're
there.
not talk about that. I love musicals. But I didn't see that one. But that scene, I'm like, I'm down with. Then you got the other scene that all you girls love. And it's like you grew up thinking, oh my God, it would be so romantic for a guy to kiss me in the rain. Girl, stop playing.
I don't want to mess my shoes up first.
I'm not messing my shoes up. I don't like birds, and I don't like the rain. I'm not standing out in the rain. Let me pull back. I'm not getting on a boat, a canoe, whatever you want to call it,
all them birds around.
in a swamped forest, talking about that's romantic. No. That's not romance to me. It's not romance. So that scene alone, where they're in the rain and
it's a beautiful scene, but not very practical for life. You know what I mean? Like I know for you especially, but
I genuinely know. Are there people out there that would actually think, oh my God?
I think I'd only like it because I saw it on The Notebook, and I'd be like, oh yeah, I'm that dude. You know what I mean?
So then, would you say that The Notebook has made you think that is like reality and that is romance, or you have this idea of like being swept away and like
I think it
caught in the moment, and the moment just happens that God pours rain down, you know, and you're like, that's what I want, because like I have a hard time believing that's what do you want?
Right.
Do you really want that?
I think for me, it just put on the forefront the idea of the grand gesture.
Can I just stop real quick? I just had this thought. That's some white people stuff. I mean, like,
I'm so mad.
I grew up, like, a black girl's not getting her hair wet.
That's real. That's
like, you know what I mean? So, like, that was never in my thought.
This is a big cultural difference.
That was never, ever crossed my mind.
Really?
Like, ooh, I'm trying to set it up. Rain. A boat. Water.
Birds.
No.
Right.
No.
I think The Notebook though, like getting back to it, like that is actually funny because like the cultural difference, it really just doesn't work for certain people. Like it just wouldn't work, you know, like it just wouldn't.
Are we allowed to do that right now in today's society? Yeah, whatever.
Whatever. But man, like I was saying, like it really put on the forefront this idea of like the grand gesture. Like, so like at the beginning of the movie where he's like, "Yo, I want to ask you on a date," and he hangs off of a roller coaster, like a Ferris wheel, it risks his life
Not
for the date.
for me either.
But you see what I'm saying? Like it created this idea of like the idea of a man going above and beyond in pursuit of a woman, which I think
which I'm cool with.
In some aspects, like that's great. Like I think that should be the way it is. Like I feel like there should be some specialness about like the way you're pursued as a woman, and especially as a guy, for you to like boldly come out and do that, even if it's a no, and you still say, "Hey, I'm still into this," and I'm also like willing to say, "Okay, if you're not," but he wasn't going to go away easy, and I felt like that for me with The Notebook, my big takeaway from that movie was like, I want to be a guy that doesn't shy away from a grand gesture of like pursuit. You know what I mean? I do think it's a little much in The Notebook because that's the whole thing he does. Everything he does is grand gesture. It's like the way he asks her out. He goes and he buys the house and he fixes the house for her to come back. He writes the letters for a year. He takes her on the thing and it's in the rain. It's not over.
Right.
It's still not over. Like, you know, like it's so like everything he does is this big like grand gesture moment. And I think there is something that resonates in a girl's heart. I mean, I'm willing to, because people love it, about that idea. And I think maybe dudes like some sort of grand gesture, not something crazy, might be needed in a relationship, to be honest.
Sure, 100%. I'm in a relationship. You know what I mean? Like she loves that. So the other night, you know, she was like, "Hey, like I'm coming to town. Let's do something like a little date, but let's make it cheap."
Grand gestures don't have to be
They
expensive.
don't gotta be expensive. So what I did is, we have a friend who has like a little fire pit. So I got fire, you know, like had little rose petals, and we literally just hung out and we played the game. We're really not strangers. We
did a podcast
about it, and it was like the coolest thing. Like it's just mad vibey, like very romantic, simple, chill.
It was the thought about it though,
and it was like, and that's what I realized in our relationship. She cares way more about the thought than about like how like, and when I say execution, like, did I spend a lot of money? Did it like, did it look great? And you know what I mean? Like all of that, what I think doesn't really happen for a lot of people. You know what I mean? Here's where I'm curious though, because like I understand that being in a relationship, I'm about to put you on the spot.
Okay.
If this was, so you got Valentine's Day, say you got a girl, and this is, you can answer to the extent which you feel comfortable answering, but what would you do for Valentine's Day if you were trying to take this girl out?
Any girl.
Now keep in mind, you weren't in a relationship.
This is
not like you're like, oh,
this is a girl I'm crushing on.
You're crushing on her. What would be your setup? How would you go about doing it? What would you do? And maybe not give it all the way. That way you could keep it for when it does happen. But I'm just curious because I think sometimes we put some pressure and too much pressure, and then sometimes we don't put enough pressure.
Right.
We don't try hard enough. So what would be your move?
I was not prepared for this.
I know.
But now, honestly, if this is a girl, do I know her really, or is this like a stranger?
You do whatever you feel, whatever you want to do.
Okay, so like I'm not gonna ask a girl I don't know, or at least haven't had a conversation with. So like there'd be a little bit of intentionality there. But I mean, for me, it's just like, hey, it would have been. I probably wouldn't do this on Valentine's Day. Let's be honest.
Okay.
But like, okay, let's just say, for instance, it is Valentine's Day.
It
just happened to be Valentine's Day. Just perfect timing. The stars aligned. It just worked out. I would just be like, hey, do you want to go on a date on Valentine's Day? And if she said yes, I would probably do my best to find out what she was into or like what she liked. And not in a creepy way, but like you can kind of tell what people are into and what they're not based on what they do. And then I would, I think for me, I don't want something that's going to take away time from talking. So I probably would go find like a spot that we could talk, whether that be on a walk or that be like us going somewhere that's like food, obviously, because, you know, people want to eat. I ain't miss no meals. So, but just something where we can just sit and interact and just talk. And I want to get to know this person, right? But I think a lot of it would be not like, hey, what do you want to do? Not that whole thing. I would probably just come up with what we're gonna do.
Right.
And if she hated it, I'd be like, hey, you might hate this, but like I just wanted to take the initiative to like plan a night,
do something.
Yeah, because I think a lot of times we just do the, well, what do you want to do? What do you want to do with dates anyway? And it just seems so like, oh, you don't even care. You just like, it comes off that way, I think.
Yeah.
And I mean, I would assume that's how girls feel about it, but I'm sure maybe if she would appreciate me taking a step and be like, hey, we're going to go do this. Does that sound cool? She's like, yeah, that's what I do. So I'd probably go like to a park or something if it was lit, like obviously not in the dark or like when it's super
Creepy.
cold, like nothing weird, but like just someplace to talk and food. And if she likes movies, then bet. But if not, like cool. But I think it just depends on the person. You have to kind of fill them out, you know?
Right. I totally agree. I think like what you said, you try to get to know a person, you try to get to know what they're interested in, what they're not interested in. But like that's how you do it. You know what I mean? Got another question for you. So I'm like just thinking. I know we'll get back to like movies that shaped us, but I think because we're thinking about it and we're talking about it. So we live in a community, I feel like, where coffee dates seem to be the norm. Is that, and I would even love to hear your side, but I also would love to, like, yo, if there are ladies listening, is a coffee date something that you're like, oh my gosh? Or is that like, been here, done that before?
Yeah.
It feels like that's a safe route because you know, like, if I go to coffee, like, oh, we could just like hang out and I can check the vibe out. But like, if you say let's do dinner, and like you said, you add intentionality to it, like you just talked about.
Yeah.
That means something more than just coffee and talking and you paying $12 for a cappuccino and a latte. You know what I mean? Like, so I'm very curious of your thoughts, but I also would love to hear, ladies, is coffee enough?
Hit us with the DM on that one. Man, I really think the reality of coffee date, it's like it's safe, you know? It's like, oh, this is not a real date. It's like it's just seeing, you know? And I think if it's like a random stranger, like it's nice to have like a little bit of a buffer, you know? Right. I also think like a bold dude's going to say, "Hey, like I would like to take you out to dinner." And like the weird thing about it is like you don't know the person, it's like that's putting you in a place of like, "Oh, this is dinner. This is a date." I do think, and this is just from like being a pastor, not necessarily me knowing every woman's mind, just like in conversations of me hearing it, it feels as if like a dinner date that a girl were to like say yes to, it's like we're married already. Like there's like this huge jump already that's in the mind, because I think it's just because of Christian culture and all that stuff. It's like people like
you have to pursue,
like make this thing so big. Like I have to be in love with this person, even go on a date with him. It's like whoa. Like you going to dinner and you don't like the guy, like. It's super cool at the end of the day. Be like, hey, I'm so thankful for dinner. I'm so glad I got to meet you more. But like, I just don't see this going any further. That's one that's honoring to a dude. Like for me as a guy, I would rather a girl who is uncomfortable with me asking her out to dinner say like, hey, like dinner seems kind of like a difficult or like a maybe too much of a step right now. I would love to go for a walk or get coffee or like, hey, let's do something that's not as intense maybe, or say yes, even though they have questions. But at the end of that, if they weren't into it, they say, hey, I wanted to give this a fair shot, but I'm just not interested. As a person, I feel cared for by you telling me where you're at. Right. Just knowing like full-fledged, like me asking you that was a little uncomfortable because it's forward, it's direct. I'm not playing games. Like I'm saying, hey, there's interest here. I'm communicating that by saying dinner, And
it feels like if you're willing to do that, they should be willing to say, hey, I'm not interested.
100%.
You know what I mean? Like if that's bold enough for you to do that, why not be bold enough back and be like, I appreciate it. Man, that means, but I'm just not interested in that way. You know what I mean?
I think girls are scared at times to do that though. Right. It's intimidating.
And I think guys are too. And I think this is where like brings me to my second movie that I want to talk about.
Okay.
Short, brief, but My Best Friend's Wedding.
Oh my God. That movie is infamous.
Great. Let's just talk about Julia Roberts.
Beautiful.
Beautiful.
Bro, I think that was my first love. That and Kimberly from the Pink Power Ranger. Anyway, but yeah, those.
But that idea of that movie is like you got your best friend, and it feels like. Now I don't mean to like. I'm not trying to make the movie fit what we were about to talk about, but like the idea of being friends and being best friends and like falling in love. Time. You know what I mean? I feel like there's this like notion of like we went to high school together and we were best friends and. We end up getting married. And you're like, okay, cool. But then you have this other like really bad, I think really toxic way of dating and showing interest in people is like, let's just be friends forever. And like my intention with you is not to date you and to get to know you that way. My actual intention is to I'm gonna like hang out with you as if we do like friend things, but we really don't do friend things. We do more than friend things, and I don't mean like past like a line. I mean like. We hang out as friends till midnight. But then you're like, well, do you like them? And they're like, nah, we're just friends.
Yeah, it's just kind of questionable. It feels, and I think this is the internal thing that I'm thinking of as like a person that's maybe even been there questionably at times.
Right, I've been there too. So
yeah, and so I think a lot of it is there might be interest on one end and not on the other, or it is one of those where the especially this girl, so to speak, knows that the guy might be interested, or vice versa, but they're just keeping them around kind of as like a backup option. Like the whole idea of the movie was like, hey, when we turn 28, which is hilarious because we're older than that.
Right.
When we turn 28, we're gonna get married.
So.
We're gonna get married.
Yeah.
Like if nobody else shows up. So really, it's like you're just holding on to an option instead of saying like, yeah, we're just friends and only ever will be friends. Yeah. And that's cool if you have a guy-girl friendship like that. That's super dope. But the reality of it is like, if it's not that and it's this like situationship where like you kind of think you might have feelings and you're kind of like you need to figure out if you do or not.
Right.
It needs to be a yes or a no.
Because in that movie, what happens is she like this new girl comes out and he's like, I think I love her, and it's like quick. And he's like, you don't know her, like so. Then it's like she feels like, oh, I'm about
to lose this guy,
and then goes on to this whole other like. We've just been friends. We've kind of had this joking thing going on. And now it's like, no, I have to ruin this.
Like, so much so that she emails the guy's job to get him, like, fired from the job. And, like, trying to sabotage the whole thing.
You know what I mean? Like,
bro, I think
it's crazy. Just that idea.
It's a lot. I think it's that thing about we want to keep options around for fear of not having anybody. I think for her, it was not even about that she even loved this guy. I think she enjoyed that relationship, friendship, whatever it was, but it really just filled an empty place for her. And so thinking that he is about to leave, that's the last lifeboat that she was depending on is gone. So she tries to reach out and just grab onto it. Instead of saying, we are friends and I'm for that. She chases the guy, and he's chasing the other girl. Right. And the key...
She gets in, what is it, a milk truck? Or
it's like a postal van truck, or something,
right.
Some van. But the line that got me was when her friend is on the phone with her, and she's telling him he's chasing her, and he says, well, who's chasing you? And, bro, that hit me. I was like, oh, wow. Like, I think that we can be in relationships like that where we want to chase somebody that's chasing somebody else rather than saying, he's not chasing me. I'm out of order here. Right. And maybe me chasing this person down is actually stealing from this other person rather than giving to them. Do you know what I mean?
Bro, saw this post on Instagram. Neymar, soccer player.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if it's true, whatever.
Fact check us.
But there's this video going around that he is standing at his ex's wedding. She's getting married.
It's a good or like bad thing?
Like, and it seems like, well, here's what in the video, one of the bridesmaids like sees him, makes like eye contact with him, is like, wait, touches the bride and points to him. But it doesn't. It's not like it. Look, I went back before. I was like, wait, is this like a? He showed up like, what's good? Like,
I'm crashing the wedding, like.
You know, or it was like. But then one of the captions that I read said that he made a promise that he would be there on her day because he wanted her to be happy. Yeah. And I just thought about, man, like that's like dope because like I've always heard it. True love wants the best for that person.
Yeah.
Right? So like if you truly love that person, then like ultimately you want the best for them, even if that means that's not you.
And that's real.
You know what I mean? And I'm almost positive. Like he has, I don't know if it's wrong, married and he has kids too. So it was very interesting where I like, what you doing at the wedding, bro?
Here? Yeah.
But at the same time, I was like, if that's dope, that's very interesting. But like that idea, even in that movie, like that she would be content, happy, satisfied, but then also like, man, I'm happy for you.
Right.
I want this for you because I love you. I don't love you like that, but I love you so much that I want you to be happy. You know, what I mean? I want you to find love. And so, great movie.
I love that movie. Think that the last scene saves the movie because she is like that's so evil.
Bro, I watched that when I was young. God. But I watched that as I was young. You know what I mean? Like, and how many times where I was like, oh, that's my best friend. Mm-hmm. That's my best friend. And I know it's like times where I was like, no, that genuinely is my best friend. There's times where I like that wasn't my best friend. I wanted to be more than friends, but I wasn't willing to take a step to like clear it, cross the line, make it what it was. Right. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I think just to like a thing to people watching the movie, I'm like, hey, if you have a friendship like that, like if you know that it's not like, you just need to be clear. if it's in the gray and you just kind of like existing there, it just feels like either way. Not that something bad will happen, but just like me, you don't want to be a person that wonders what if you didn't see the thing, you know?
I tell dudes all the time, here's the reality. Especially now that I'm engaged, and I'm about to get married. There is not going to be a woman in my life that takes more precedent than Adriana.
100%.
Ever. So
it has to change.
That, like, now. That is now. You know what I mean? But, like, why would I spend too much time being friends with a bunch of girls knowing that I'm only looking for one?
There's wisdom to that.
You know what I mean?
There's
like
a lot of wisdom to that.
And so there's that thing. You know what I mean? But so that's just a lot of movies.
God, there's so many good ones. I just to go through just a few, man. Like one that, like I know a lot of people like. That's kind of like the Matthew McConaughey on the like put him on the map was How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days. That whole like movie was just kind of.
Which I didn't really watch that one. Yeah. So
it's the weird one. It's like she works for. It's kind of like she works for a newspaper. She's a journalist. He is a sports agent, like marketing guy, and they on both ends have this bet, and essentially she just tries to sabotage the relationship. And on his end, they say you have to keep this relationship. So you have somebody doing things to directly kill the relationship, and one person to like do anything at all to save it. And then they get into it and they actually like each other, but they both find out that it was like a bet, and so it ruins it, and then they have to go back and he saves it essentially, which is like the whole breakdown of it. But it's funny to think like she actually does things in the movie that some people do to like get rid of a guy. It's just funny because it's like, oh, you're doing too much, right. And she just amplifies it to the max, and he on the back end is not enough to say, hey, stop that. You know what I mean?
Bro, I dated a girl in college. She gave my dog frozen yogurt, and it was the straw for me.
Dogs can't eat frozen yogurt?
I don't know why it bugged me so much.
We didn't like it.
It bothered me so much.
Hey, sometimes there's gonna be things that
bother you that much. And I literally was like, I don't like her.
She lost a guy in 10 days.
She lost me so quickly. And like she was like, I felt, looking back at it, I was like, yo, I'm tripping. Like there was probably some internal like things that was in my heart that I was like,
you had to work through
mad tripping. But there's some things that you could do and you're like, not even red flag, just like, oh, I'm good.
I think you just gotta know that know yourself thing and know what you want and like be like, no, that's not it. I love that.
Yeah.
Bro, she's the man.
She's the man. Willing to do whatever.
To play soccer. Acting like somebody else.
You get to play your thing, but then in that, like, she switches back and forth. Like, she's this dude playing soccer.
There's just so many
My favorite scenes in the movie are when she, like, talks like a dude and then, like, forgets where she's around. And she's like, they're, like, looking at her like, wait, wait a minute.
Why are you what's going on?
Right. What was her name?
Amanda Bynes?
No, like, in the movie.
Oh, my God.
Why am I thinking Simon? That's not right. I don't know.
Hold on. It's Sebastian.
Sebastian
is the guy. She is Viola.
Viola. And then she has the guy that is like actually crazy about her in that movie. She's chasing
Channing Tatum.
You're right.
As a guy, which is weird, but
But then she has the guy that's chasing her when she's a girl.
The girl chasing her as a guy. The girl likes Sebastian, but she's the guy, which is so weird. But the funny thing about that is that whole story is actually not the Taming of the Shrew. That's 10 Things I Hate About You. It's 12th Night. It's a Shakespeare play.
I didn't know
that whole story is Shakespeare. And same thing with like 10 Things I Hate About You with like Heath Ledger and oh my gosh, what's her name? She's in like Save the Last Dance. I forget her name. Anyway,
yeah, Save the Last Dance.
Julia Stiles. Julia Stiles.
Another great.
Is that her name?
Yeah.
Julia Stiles.
I don't know.
Anyway, I could be completely wrong. I don't know her name. But bro, that movie, I love that movie. It's got Joseph Gordon-Levitt in it. From like Angels in the Outfield. Grew up on that. Loved him. It just the whole premise of the movie is like the bet.
So those are all Shakespeare movies.
Yeah, it's Shakespeare. The Taming of the Shrew, 12th Night. Romeo and Juliet.
Which Romeo and Juliet are you talking about?
The only one that ever was actually
Gangsta Love one.
Gangsta Love. Or Leo? John Leguizamo? Bro, I'm telling you right now, just the way that they even, just as a movie nerd out for a second, the way that they even handled the way that they portrayed the characters in a modern format, and like the like the big scene that I remember is the fight between Tybalt, which is John Leguizamo's character, and Leonardo DiCaprio's character Romeo.
Yeah.
And it's right after he had killed his best friend. Like, it was a big whole deal, and then they have this like gun battle essentially, and Tybalt is just this like, you just feel so much in that movie. Like, you hate him, you can't stand him, and you want Leo, you want this love to happen. And I think like that movie itself just kind of is like the pinnacle of like the love story. It's this forbidden love that he's not supposed to have, and he's willing to like move the world to be with this girl, and then he doesn't want to live without her, and so he thinks she's died, and then
he plans this whole move and it backfires,
and he kills himself. And then she kills herself because she doesn't want to live without him. And the sad thing about it, I mean, I think that thing about love that's beautiful is that like the star-crossed lovers, like, oh, like they felt this love for each other and they would move the world for them, like, but it just feels so like not of real depth, you know? It's just very like that hot like infatuated love. It never gets to a place where it's
sacrificial,
where they could ever get to that place. You know, it just was so quick, and it was like, I can't live without you. And I think a lot of our young relationships are that way. It's like, I need to be with you every moment, every second. I can't breathe without you. I can't, like, it is all of those things, which I think we think is love. But once that passes and it gets to like a part of love where things get difficult and things like you have to see them as like not this perfect human that makes you complete anymore. They kind of actually make you mad, and you have to have this depth of love and saying like, I'm staying even if you're on your worst day. Like, I'm staying, if I don't feel the same like amount of like passion that I once felt. I love you deeply. Like, I'm putting stakes in the ground. I'm staying here. You know,
that game We're Not Really Strangers has a card, and the question is, what is if you could describe love in one word, how would you describe it? And so we're playing this at youth, so I'm around like young dudes, you know what I mean? And I said commitment.
Yeah.
And I like thought, I was like, yo, like, is that the only word? Absolutely not. But if it's not commitment and there's not commitment attached to it, then I just don't see how it is, because of what you just said. Like, when you're on your worst day, does somebody love you enough to still commit to you?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, when you are foul, like out of line,
and they still got your back.
Because it's easy to commit when it makes sense for you.
Oh, yeah.
But when it doesn't make sense for you and it costs you something because they're doing, can you still commit? And to me, it's like, if you can't, then maybe it's just not as strong as what you thought it was.
Maybe it's like.
Right.
It's you and he. You're not in love.
Infatuation.
Yeah, that's it.
You know, but if it is commitment, then it that moves you into a love that's like.
It's deep.
Deep, you know what I'm saying? And that's essentially what you're like. What you're saying when you get married is like, yo, I'm gonna make a commitment to you for the rest of my life.
Yeah, and I think it's better. It's deeper. And I think I think it's created expectation for us what we should feel at the very beginning of a relationship, or like if it's not like this, like then it's not it. Which I think in some parts there is that, but I think that thing fades. It's not the thing that lasts forever. I just think it's something that's just kind of. It has its season, you know, and then there's something that has to get planted that's deeper, you know. There's one movie recently that's came out that I loved a lot. It's on Netflix. Like, Netflix, it was a Netflix original. Like, it's got that one dude, Noah Centineo.
Right.
My guy's bro, love that guy.
Popping right now. He is like in everybody's movie.
He's the new Ryan Gosling, low-key. Not really, but kinda, you know. The whole, Notebook. This is the big movie, right? But it's To All the Boys I Loved Before. Yeah. And essentially, it's about a girl that writes letters to like all these dudes that she used to love. You know, I personally like the movie a whole lot. One, just because of the way that they filmed it, and just kind of the vibe of it was like very like youthful and bright and
fun.
Yeah.
It wasn't corny. It was corny. Don't get me wrong. It was very corny. Yeah, it was very corny. But like. They're in high school. Yeah. You know what I mean? And so it puts a touch on like teenage love in a way that's just a little bit more fun and entertaining and less like, right. You know what I mean? Great movie.
Yeah, I think I love the most about it. And I think it goes back to that art piece about like what a director is trying to create and like what a playwright screenwriter is like writing for the story, like essentially this girl at different segments of her like early life has loved these boys, right? And each one is different. Each one is they're all over the place. And
Right.
and in herself she has like, because those letters are written, she's never sent them out. It's just there. They just exist in her mind as these guys that she's loved before, and still, like, in a way, still loves them.
Yeah.
But the crazy thing about the movie is because her little sister sends it. Sorry to ruin it for you. She sends it out.
If you haven't watched it this
Yeah,
point,
you need to go
though,
watch
then
it.
it's your
That needs to
problem.
be your
That's
Valentine's Day
fault.
movie
That's
in
not
my mind.
ours.
But she sends them out, and so then she has to confront the love that once existed just in her mind. And so she starts having conversations with these guys, and then because one of them is her sister's boyfriend, she jumps into the one that she knows, I have no feelings for this guy. Like, I liked him way earlier. I have no desire for him now. But she has all these conversations with these guys, and she realized that she loved them in her mind more than she did in reality. Ooh. And so even the guy that she thought she didn't like because she was in a relationship with him, by fake relationship because she felt bad about the other one, she realized that he was the one that she really loved all along. But the thing about it is, if we just have a concept of someone that we love in our mind, reality is very different than what we create in our mind.
Right.
Which I think for me, like, even the idea of getting to know somebody through a text message or through a Snapchat or any of those things, it's like you create an idea of what they are like through those messages rather than being face to face.
Bro, not even just messages, but just simply attraction.
Oh, for sure.
That, like, because you find somebody attractive that you think you already in your mind have said,
that's it.
This is my person. And you're like, what's behind all of it? Is there anything
right
under that? You know what I mean? Like, and I don't want to be like mean or like, but like there is so much more. And that thing right there is like what you just said, the idea of somebody.
Yeah.
And then once that, because the reality is you get in a relationship and you have this idea for something, but it does not take too long before that idea is gone.
Yeah.
And
reality sets in.
I didn't know you was like this.
Right. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
and I think that's why dating is important.
Right.
Like, I think actually dating intentionally is important.
Getting to know somebody, dating to get to know somebody.
Right. And when I mean dating, I don't mean like jumping into things that you shouldn't jump into. I'm talking like you're dating as in evaluating.
Right.
Because, like, let's be real, dating is evaluating. You are saying, hey, I want to be around you. I want to spend time with you. I want to get to know who you are. Right. I want to see if you and I could do this thing together. Because that's the reality. You only get one person. You get to do forever with one person. If you do multiple, that's not how it works. That's wrong. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not the way it's worked. It's one person, right? Yeah. And so, like, if that's forever, bro, we try to rush forever with every single person that we like. It's just like, oh, bet, like, so flippantly jump into it instead of saying, like, is this person helping me become the person that I believe that, like, I was made to be, that I want to be? Does this person, do I add anything of value to this person's life? And the other way, do they add value to my life? Are we going towards the same things? But you don't know any of that. You don't know their temperament. You don't know any of that stuff until you actually spend time, like, asking good questions and, like, watching their life. And also, like, having communication about what you see. Because, like, to be honest, like, a lot of relationships, what they do is they form you and they shape you because you rub up against each other and you see, like, oh, I've got some rough edges. And you need some people, like, even friendships to, like get those to not be as rough, you know? Like, we talked about the self-awareness piece, like how even our friendship is like made us both better. Same thing with, like, a dating relationship.
Right.
It takes time.
Can you grow with this person?
Yeah.
Is this person helping you grow? And that, when I say can you grow, that's the thing that I've learned a lot in me and Adriana's relationship is we've grown so much.
Yeah.
So much as we didn't know about each other. And where you, like, we had this idea of each other and you're like, oh my gosh, like this. And then it's like, and I mean, I'm speaking for myself. Love you. But the reality is we have grown so much in our relationship, and the piece in which I'm so thankful that that's what relationship is actually about, is about growing with somebody.
Yeah.
I'm thankful that she and I am not the same person when we first started dating.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And one of the ways that we got to know each other, I set it up where every time we went up to dinner, I found this, like, 100 questions. I'm going to give you my secret. 100 questions. And I downloaded a randomizer on my phone. So all you had to do is shake my phone, I put 100 and like put the number in, and it would just randomize the number, so it'd give us like 17. So we would go down the list and ask the 17th question. And like the 100 questions we got through, I don't even actually think that we did all 100, but that's what we spent our date doing. So every time we would go to dinner, we go to coffee, we go hang out, whatever it was, that's what we would do. And it was like, oh my God. And it was cool because I got to know her favorite color. I didn't know her favorite color. We knew each other. We knew about each other. We'd seen each other, but we didn't really know. Yeah. I didn't know if this is somebody that was compatible with my life. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Somebody that I add value to, or somebody that I could see growing with for the rest of my life. And the way that we got to do that and figure that out was just simply by asking questions, you know what I mean? Intentionally dating, taking it slow, being patient, being honest with each other. And I got to, in those times, I got to know so much about her that I don't think I would have gotten if it wasn't for just making it fun and doing something a little bit more lighthearted than just that. But the reality is, even in that, there's some things that I didn't know that I do know now. Yeah. You know what I mean? I've just watched it, our relationship has developed in the best way, and we're working through a lot of our own stuff, you know? But we talked about this in the podcast we talked about during this time last year. I would say one of my favorite movies, Love and Basketball.
Before you do that, I have an actual question. Ooh. Just for the people, you know, because it's Valentine's Day. Right, you know what I mean? Like, people are thinking about this, bro, and obviously I'm a single dude, right? So my context is very different. I get to see a lot. I've experienced a lot by watching, and some negative, because I mean obviously they haven't worked out. So like let's see, but for you, like you are engaged, moving towards marriage. Like man, like what has been, and like you said, communication and the questions. Yes, that's been like a helpful thing for y'all. Like, but just for them, like what has been like one of the most helpful things that you've done in your relationship with Adriana? That's one, not just made it so that you got to know her, but that you've protected and cared for her while also getting to know her in a different, like a deeper way, in like the growth part. Because I think a lot of times when we grow, it's like it's growth, but it comes with some negatives. Right. Do you know what I mean? Right. What has been the thing that's one protected her in case, like you said with the Neymar, it didn't work out, but he wanted what's best for her. How have you navigated your relationship in a way that one protected her, but yet also was one that helped you get to know her better? Does that make sense? This is a hard question, but I just figured.
No, man, that's a good question. I think at times I probably haven't done that to the best. I think about one of the things that kind of held me up from like, so we dated, didn't work out. Then I realized I was low-key crazy about her. And then she came back and she was like, I'm here. And then she was like, I'm gone. And when she said I was gone, I was like, I'm out. And I had a conversation with one of our pastors, and I remember him like making me realize the only way to figure out if this thing could be a thing, was going to work out, or wasn't going to be a thing, was to just commit right now. And so I said, I was like, yo, I like her. I know that. Everything about what I do know about her, it makes sense for me. I'm like, I enjoy my time with her. I can see a future with her. But there were some things at the time where I was like, yo, this just makes it scary and it's hard. And I'm like, I don't know if I can do this. I decided to anyway. And I say that because I think what I realized then was there are times in our relationship where I have wanted to. I'm somebody who, whenever I get something happens to me emotionally, I pull back, I withdraw. And what I realize is when I withdraw, that does not make her feel safe. Yeah. That does not make her feel comfortable. That doesn't make her feel open. It does not give us any type of space in a culture, in an environment where growth can actually happen and our relationship can progress. And so what I found myself doing was pulling back. What I had to start doing was leaning back in.
That's good.
Even when I didn't want to, and it didn't feel, and when I say didn't want to, not because I didn't want to, but because it made me feel a type of way. When I wanted to pull back and do what is natural for me, I chose to lean in, and I chose to do things, say things in a way that was like, okay, this is providing us a space where she feels safe to speak and to share, and what I'm getting out of that, the benefit of doing that is getting to hear her heart, getting to hear her fears, her insecurities, the things that worry her, so that I could then come back and address them in a way that was, hey, I'm here, I'm not going anywhere. Or, hey, that's just a thought that you can't keep thinking.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And now where we are in a place is, I think because of that, we're learning how to fight fair.
Yeah.
We're learning how to like really think about, hey, we're growing. This is our relationship. We're committed to each other. We're not going anywhere. So because of that, how do we keep providing a space where I'm cool with like people who don't fight in the relationship. That's just not, it's not me. It's not ours.
For sure.
And when I say fight, we're not, you know what I mean? Like fighting. We're just, we have differences. We see things different. We're learning how this person sees that and what this person needs and what, right? We're learning all of that and those different dynamics. And what I realized is creating a safe space.
Yeah.
And it's, when I say create, what I had to do was lean in.
Instead of withdraw, yeah.
Commit. Show up. Try to be as consistent as I can. Learn the things that make her want to pull back and make her want to step away and lean away. Learn those things and protect those things. Fight for those things. Fight to protect that those things never happen. And so, hasn't been easy. I'm definitely not perfect, but that's something that came to mind when you got me.
And bro, just to not just encourage you, but honor you is just, for me seeing your life and you and me knowing, because I mean we were roommates. Like I would know. You know what I'm saying? We talk about it. And you would get frustrated and whatever. But the one thing that would always happen is you would always step back in and you would you would make a choice to be committed and stay. And for me, man, like, why I'm probably even single at 29 is because every time that it came a choice, like to make the choice to stand up and stay in it, I've always chosen to run. Right. And to see you, even in moments where it would have been easy to run, or not necessarily easy to run, but it would be like where I would run, you've stepped in. It's inspired me to not be a person that runs, but for me to be a person that gives someone time and that gives them room to grow, and like for me to communicate things instead of just being like, oh, well, it doesn't work out, so see it. And it's easy. I always take the easy way out. And I don't want to be a person that takes the easy way out anymore. And I think a lot of that's fear of being afraid that someone would be better out there, something would work better, that I would mess it up, that they would leave. Like, there's just so many different fears that I like walk around with. But to see like you deciding that even when it'd be easier for you to step back or to withdraw or to remove yourself, you always chose to step in, and you always chose to like love her enough, even when you were super frustrated with her, to be self-sacrificial in that, to say, I care about this and you and us, and so I'm going to step in even when I want to step out.
And to be honest, she's much better at it than I am. Yeah. Genuinely. There are too many reasons that I could go down the list. I probably can't go down the list because there's so many that she probably has a list.
Probably.
But she's done that. And I think that's the thing that has helped it, is like, you asked me the question, what have I done? I think we both have done that for each other. Yeah. You know what I mean? And I think that's why, even in today and this season of engagement and moving towards marriage, like, I fully believe we're prepared because of that. You know what I mean? I don't think we're going in scared. Obviously there's fears, and because you're like, that's an unknown territory that we've never stepped into. But the one thing that I never have to consider is whether or not she is with me. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, because she's shown me that. She's shown me for the last 2.5 years. So, but yeah.
That's beautiful, bro.
I mean, all emotional, bro.
I mean, like, but for real, like, it really has, like, pushed me a lot. Yeah. And funny enough, like, our last movie, and it is the movie of all movies.
All movies, yo. If you haven't watched this movie.
This really is just an advertisement for this movie. This entire podcast is an advertisement for this movie. So go ahead, take it away, sir.
Bro, we said this last podcast. We talked about love. If it ain't a love and basketball type of love, I don't want it.
I don't want it at all.
I don't want it. And if you haven't seen that movie, then you don't know what we're talking about.
You don't know what love is.
But that's the problem. That's the reason. I'm not saying this about you. That's the problem. That's probably the reason why your relationship is so dry.
Yeah.
And just
not
boring.
Yeah.
Like, I like that. Like, they hate each other. And they love each other. You know what I mean? They love each other.
I'm getting emotional thinking about it.
Because they hate each other. It's like, and it's not even that they hate each other, but like, you see their relationship in a way that's like just incredibly passionate.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like they love deeply, and sometimes when you love deeply, it'd be those very people that be making you mad.
So mad.
You know what I mean? And then they do things in that movie, you know, like he's with another girl, he's tripping, and she's like, excuse me?
Yeah.
But you see the like heartbreak in her.
Oh yeah.
You know, like you see the heartbreak and you see her trying to like deal, and you see they're both dealing with that thing in them.
Yeah.
That's like,
it feels
my heart's hurting.
It feels so much like that movie. Every bit of it is like the love and basketball part. They both have this love for basketball. Yeah. And they both find this love for each other. And it is if like the ebbs and flows of like how good their basketball journey is determines like how much they are bought into each other. Like, so like when it's going well for the other ones, they're struggling. They're trying to make it. And like one wants more time from her. Like, hey, like I want more time from you. And she's like, I'm trying to chase a dream. Like, so they've got their dream in the thing. And then they like, you just see this back and forth. Like they trade off who loves more, you know? And it's almost like they just both on either end just refuse to quit. Right. Like they just both like, nah, like I'm not out. So much so like I think for me the most beautiful picture of it in the entire movie is when they are on the basketball court at the very end of the movie.
Because I'm like low key getting emotional.
Where she is like, I want to play for your
I'll
heart,
play for you,
for your heart,
play for it.
And then he's like, in the game, you see her love break him down. Yeah. Where this dude literally is like, I'm about to dunk on you. Like, I'm not. And this guy's like an NBA player.
But he like gets like.
He's physical with her.
It's not easy.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, it's like almost like where he's like, yo, like, he makes her fight. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not going to treat you like a little girl on the basketball court.
Right.
Like, ball up. And he like pushes the ball in her, and she's like, "No, that's a bet." And you're like,
he treats her like a guy. Like he plays her like he would play another guy.
He would play another. He plays her like he was playing the game.
Right. And she refuses to quit, and she gets beat. And then he just says, "You want to run it back?" Like it literally. He in that moment, it feels like. He is testing her love.
Right.
She shows where her love is at. And then what's crazy is at the end of it, they're with their kids, and he is the one that's cheering on her dream, where at the beginning, he was everything. And so it's almost this reversal of, like, sometimes in life, like, it's going to change of who's going to be whose season are you in? Like, who is doing well in their job and doing well and stuff, and the other person is like, yo, I want to love this person while they're doing that and not be competing or any of those things, but they both just love each other and support each other in all the different ups and downs of their basketball journey, their life journey, all that stuff. It's beautiful to watch.
It's beautiful.
I love the movie.
I'm gonna
watch it when I go home.
I'm watching it when I go home. But we can't watch it together because that would be a little bit too much for us right now.
Yeah, we definitely cry. I cry for sure.
I'm gonna cry.
Loving basketball, man.
Great movie.
It's beautiful.
If it's not in your relationship, whatever it is, loving soccer,
loving nursing school. I don't know what it is.
I don't know what it is for you, but figure it out. You know what I mean? And man, just such a good movie. All those movies are good. All those movies have definitely shaped, and we could go
on and on and on. We have so many movies we could pick
to talk about all of these movies, and we also know that some of y'all don't like. I said, I apologize if you are upset at me because I don't really like the Notebook.
Hey, it's okay. Different strokes for different folks, you know.
But what I do think is there are so many things out there that are shaping us and shaping a type of love that we're looking for. And I think we just need to be a little bit more careful with them. And we think we need to pay attention to the ones that like are good and wholesome and have a lot that we can like dig into personally, like how that applies to our lives. So
yeah, I really love just the art of just movies in general, and like just to know you're not watching a movie just to watch a movie. Like that's an art. There's a story being communicated to you. There's a worldview being projected in front of you, and I think we would serve ourselves well to take these things into account when we watch them and say, man, like, is this, what are the things, because it's the beautiful parts of it. Some of those beautiful things really are good things, but the way that it gets laid out and played out often sometimes is not. And so if you are, moved by different things in a movie like The Grand Gesture and The Notebook, like, great, implement that in your life. but don't get it like don't set expectations that are unmeetable. Don't like create a world that does not exist. Like let's be real. There's things that you should hold on to, and I think that's with all relationships in general. Like a lot of it is like expectations. Are they met? Are they not? With that whole deal. And so we kind of have to enter into it with open hands and open hearts to like the people, because they're people. They're not perfect people. They're not going to be Noah from the Notebook. He's made up.
All right.
You know what I mean? I think us being just aware when we take this stuff in, and honestly, I love them. I like feeling things in movies, and I like being like, even if it's not real, I'm okay with that.
Right.
I don't like it when it makes me do something that is negative. Yeah.
Come on. Yeah.
And so I think it's beneficial and helpful. And man, I hope y'all enjoyed this. Man, we love talking about movies. Love talking about love, even though Jamal is the only one in love. And so one day. But man, I have fun on this podcast, man.
Always,
do you got anything to close with the folks?
Man, hey, have a great Valentine's Day, fellas. Treat your ladies right, but we could do a whole nother. Ladies, treat your fellas right too.
Yeah.
Treat your fellas right. He deserves it. You deserve it. You'll have a great time. If you single, yo, watch whatever movie you want to watch.
Straight up, doesn't even have to be a romantic movie.
Don't
Don't drive around sad on Valentine's Day. God's got you. You can be all right. You can be all right.
Delete that playlist that you got right now. That you've been working on all month. Delete it right now, because you don't need to listen to it. Don't get in your feelings. Don't listen to Drake in Marvin's room at all. Don't do it.
Not Marvin's room.
Do not do it. Stay out of Marvin's room.
Stay out of Marvin's room.
We love you guys.
Stay out.
Peace out.
This is the drop.
Don't miss it.